I've watched a fair few Real Madrid matches this season, and I must say there's something missing. It's not tactical, not entirely at least. It's something harder to measure. Perhaps it's been discussed and I've simply missed the memo, or perhaps it's the sort of absence that quietly lingers, unnoticed until it's far too loud to ignore. But to me, it's clear. They're missing that midfield R. The unmistakable presence, the kind only a truly elite trio can bring. The calm, the control, the command. It's just not there, and the team feels lesser for it. And I'm talking about this trio. Now, before we examine what's gone wrong with Real Madrid's midfield, we must first speak of something more fundamental: the system. When I say system, I don't simply mean a buzzword or a singular approach. Some managers do indeed have systems you can summarize in a phrase. Pep Guardiola, for instance, possession football, positional play, tiki taka, if you like. Jurgen Klopp, Gangan pressing, intense, vertical, and direct. Mourinho and Simeone, defensive, compact, often called negative, though I find that term a little harsh. But then you have something I call a hybrid system, and that's where it gets interesting. Take Hansi Flick at Barcelona. His approach doesn't fit into a single box. It's high pressing and counter pressing. It's vertical passing with positional rotation. It's wide overloads, rapid transitions, a high defensive line, and a fast aggressive possession play. It's layered, multifaceted, a system that adapts to the moment. He did it at Bayern in 2020 devastatingly well, I might add. And Real Madrid, during the Modric, Kroos, and Casemiro era, had something similar: a blend, one-touch football, controlled possession, sudden lethal counters, and of course, a touch of individual brilliance. Because that's always been part of Madrid's DNA. But this season, the blend is gone. What remains is a team surviving almost entirely on individual brilliance and counterattacks. That too depend on those individuals producing something special. No structure, no fallback. Just hope that someone, Vinicius, Bellingham, Rodrigo, Mbappe, can conjure magic. The trouble is, even the best players in the world are allowed to have off days, a dip in form, a moment where things don't quite click. And when that happens, if you have no system to support them, your team collapses. That's the true purpose of a system. It doesn't just guide the stars, it protects the whole. It ensures that even when your best falter, someone else can step in and keep the machine running. Real Madrid this season, they've played without one, and the results have shown it: an inconsistent, fragmented campaign. Because while Carlo Ancelotti is many things, a tactician, a leader, a calm presence, he's not by nature a systems manager. He favors individual expression, gives his players freedom, especially in attack. But sometimes too much freedom breeds chaos. And perhaps that's why there's a meme doing the rounds now, summarizing Real Madrid's season better than any start ever could. Because without structure, even the brilliance can unravel. Now then, let's speak plainly about what's gone wrong with Real Madrid's midfield. I do recognize injuries have played a rather sizable role. It's difficult to maintain rhythm or creativity when you're forced to reshuffle the piece every other week. And this season, Ancelotti has had no choice but to adapt. Tchouaméni, Camavinga, Valverde. How many times have they been moved out of position? Right back, left back, even centre half, all to plug the gaps. And while I understand the necessity, it's also part of the problem. When a midfield changes so frequently, chemistry never has a chance to blossom. You lose consistency, and without that, what exactly are you building? Now, on paper, Madrid's strongest midfield three is Tchouaméni, Valverde, and Bellingham. No questions. But here's the catch. They've been played out of position so often, they haven't had the opportunity to develop the cohesion needed at this level. And more importantly, not one of them is what I consider the heartbeat of a midfield. You see, I'm speaking of a very particular kind of player. An orchestrator. An orchestrator doesn't just play passes. They conduct the tempo. They control the rhythm. Always available. Always linking the back to the front. Keeping possession ticking with precision and calm, like a conductor leading a symphony. Modric and Kroos were just that. It's why for so many years they made the midfield their domain, dictating matches at will. Today, only Modric and Ceballos fit that mode at Madrid. But Modric is aging, and though he still plays with the elegance of a man 10 years younger, he's used sparingly. Ceballos, on the other hand, is inconsistent and sits behind the likes of Bellingham, Valverde, and Tchouaméni in the pecking order, so neither are regularly utilized. Contrast that with Barcelona, where Pedri and they are both orchestrators, run the show. It's no surprise they control position as they do. Across Europe, the pattern continues. Xavi, in Barca's golden era, was the orchestrator, with Iniesta offering creativity beside him. Flick's Bayern had Kimmich and Thiago, but orchestrators. Goretzka, a classic box-to-box. At PSG, Vitinha plays the orchestrator's role, with Ruiz and Neves offering secondary control. Arsenal have Odegaard, with Rice as the box-to-box and Partey anchoring. Liverpool, Mark Allister pulls the strings, while Szoboszlai and Gravenberg provide energy around him. In every top team, there's at least one orchestrator, because without one, possession is a coin toss. Personally, I prefer two. Two orchestrators for maximum control, paired with either an anchor or a creative mind further forward. That's what made Modric, Kroos, and Casemiro such a perfect trio. They gave you tempo, control, and bite in equal measure. And now, as Flick's Barcelona takes shape, he's done the same. Two orchestrators in midfield, with an attacking third man, be it Dani Olmo as a whole player or Fermin as a box-to-box. It's balanced, it's intelligent, and it's something Madrid desperately need to rediscover. Now, before I wade into how Ancelotti may have misjudged his formation this season, allow me to make one thing perfectly clear. A midfield trio without an orchestrator can work. I'm not for a moment suggesting that a team is doomed without one. After all, look at Liverpool under Jurgen Klopp. That side, built on sheer intensity, won both the league and the Champions League, with not a traditional orchestrator in sight. Or take Manchester City. For all their silverware, they too have operated without a classic conductor in midfield, opting instead for mobility, structure, and positional excellence. So yes, a midfield can thrive without an orchestrator, but only if the system is sound. Only if those midfielders, though not conductors themselves, are tuned perfectly to the demands of the system. And that's precisely where Real Madrid have faltered this season. There has been no discernible system, no cohesive structure, just reliance on individual brilliance and bursts of counterattack. And while those moments have salvaged matches, they've not sustained a season. Now then, On to Ancelotti's preferred formation this season. If we cast our minds back to last year, Real Madrid operated rather effectively with a 4-4-2 diamond. With Benzema's departure, young Bellingham was thrust into the false nine role. Joselu arrived and did what was required when called upon, though let's be honest, he was never the long term answer. The hope, quite clearly, was always Mbappe. But that formation served Madrid well. It didn't deliver overwhelming possession, far from it, especially against the biggest sides, but it brought balance. That extra leg in midfield offered a defensive buffer, and Madrid were more than happy to sacrifice control of the ball in exchange for efficiency. Fewer chances, but better conversion. Stability over spectacle. Even when Kroos wasn't involved, having four midfielders covered the cracks, both in attack and in defense. Then came Mbappe, and with him, the irresistible temptation to line up a front three of Vinicius, Mbappe, and Rodrigo. It was what fans expected, what journalists predicted, but the red flags were raised early. All three are right footed. All three favour the left channel, and none particularly thrive off the ball. And so, Ancelotti moved away from the diamond, and he switched to a 4-3-3 to accommodate his star trio. Fair enough in theory, but in practice, every warning we heard before the season began to unfold in real time. The midfield was overrun, the pressing was inconsistent, defensive contributions from the front three was minimal, chemistry lacking, freedom excessive, and productivity in flashes perhaps, but never sustained. With every match, the absence of a fourth midfielder became more apparent. Yes, injuries played a significant role, and I'll extend Ancelotti some grace there. But the 4-4-3 clearly wasn't working, and he knew it. So, what did he do? Did he revert to the 4-4-2 diamond that brought stability last season? Did he bench one of the front three, difficult as that may have been, to restore midfield control? No. Instead, he shifted to a 4-4-2 flat and kept Rodrigo in the side. Worse still, he pushed Bellingham, arguably the most influential player last season, out of his natural number 10 role and onto the left side of the midfield. And predictably, it unravelled. Yes, there were wins, but they came from moment, not method. Individual brilliance rather than team structure. No real chemistry between Bellingham, Tchouaméni and Valverde. No playmaker to split defences. No rhythm. Just hoping that one of them would pull something out of the hat. It was only after being knocked out of the Champions League by Arsenal, yes, Arsenal, that Ancelotti returned to the diamond, and suddenly there was a bit of structure again, a bit of balance. All of this only to reach the conclusion we'd seen coming all along. That the diamond, particularly with this injury-ridden squad, was the formation Madrid needed. That one of the front three had to be benched. That Bellingham should have stayed in his most effective role. That Arda Güler, who had the makings of a central midfielder all along, should have been used sooner, not wasted on the bench for months. It was all there, in plain sight. But we chose the names over balance, and pay the price. Without a system to guide them, even the most gifted players begin to look ordinary. And that, I'm afraid, is where the cracks have shown most. Some time ago, I shared what many consider an unpopular opinion. I said, Arda Güler's best position is in as an attacking midfielder or out wide. He's built to run the show from central midfield. Do you agree? And rather reassuringly, most people did. I saw it earlier this season. In those rare moments he came off the bench, dropping deep, demanding the ball, wriggling out of pressure with such calm, and always looking for the pass. There's a composure about him, a rhythm, the sort you don't often see in a player his age. Now, many would argue that given his knack for goals, he belongs further forward. But scoring goals doesn't disqualify one from playing deeper. We've seen Modric do it, Valverde too. With the right guidance, Arda could be molded into something far greater, an orchestrator, one to carry the rhythm Madrid have sorely missed. Sadly, Ancelotti's realization came far too late. Now, as his tenure draws to a close and Xabi Alonso looks set to take the reins, one can only hope that Arda Güler will be given the role and the minutes he deserves. Yes, there's room for improvement, defensive awareness, physicality, maturity, but these things come with time, and more importantly, with play. To me, he could be the natural heir to Luka Modric, but truthfully, we don't yet know how the next manager will view him, and so we wait. In the end, my hope is simple, that whoever comes in either revives the old Madrid system or builds something new, but meaningful. I'd personally like to see one or maybe two proper orchestrators signed. But if the club places its faith in what it already has, I look forward to seeing how it unfolds. Because make no mistake, the Modric, Kroos and Casemiro era wasn't just a midfield. It was an aura. And right now, that aura is missing. Anyway, that's quite enough from me. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you agree, disagree? Let me know in the comments below. Until the next one. Cheers.